Thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love CVille Show. It's great to be with you on a chilly afternoon in downtown Charlottesville. Take a look at the screen for headlines we're going to cover on today's talk show. How many parents right now are pulling their hair out with a snow day following a federal holiday? No school yesterday for Martin Luther King Day, no school today for snow, and the forecast right now looking for Friday quite snowy as well, especially with Wednesday and Thursday's temperatures in the single digits.
Oof.
We're not going to see much meltage happening, and Friday the precipitation is calling for potentially inches of snow, so it very well could be a 2-day week for school for parents in Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and Central Virginia. That got me thinking, viewers and listeners, that got me thinking about the potential for a common house for children. The private club on Market Street caters to adults from a working standpoint, remote work, hybrid work, those that don't want to work in coffee shops, pay membership at Common House. It caters to adults that are looking for food and beverage. Now, Chef Laura Fonner, the executive chef at Common House, it caters to adults that want to mingle and socialize, meet folks from a dating standpoint, meet other couples to make friends. It caters to folks that want to take part in live events like a wine tasting, hearing musicians play, poetry readings, dinner club events. I ask you this because why in a community with such economic prosperity and such deep pockets is there not more opportunity for parents and children drop-off? Could there be a common house for children that could have success in the Charlottesville, Albemarle, and Central Virginia area? I want to talk about that on today's show. I want to ask you this question. How many parents are asking right now, why does virtual learning not happen on snow days? During the pandemic, we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably when it's all said and done, when you include time, sweat equity, and infrastructure. I would not be surprised if it's a few $1 million in Central Virginia building an infrastructure for remote or hybrid or screen learning. Why was that infrastructure or that path to education completely disregarded on days like this?
Boo.
Snow days. Judah says boo. Judah says boo. Let the kids have fun and let them play. He says stop being a Mike Signer, if you may. The owner of Reid's grocery store has commented on the GoFundMe and the future of the grocery. The owner commented on Facebook in the comment section on a post on Reid's. I will relay that commentary to you. Much like we talked about yesterday on the show, the surrounding neighborhood around the grocery store has changed, and perhaps consumer spending patterns have changed. This is a byproduct of, it's that ugly G word, Judah, say it for Sally in the back.
Gentrification.
Bingo. There's 4 stores for rent in the University Shopping Center. I've said many times on this talk show, one of the primo pieces of real estate in Charlottesville City that is right now potentially underperforming, flying under the radar, maybe it has the most upside or some of the most upside, is the University Shopping Center. That little shopping center between the car wash and the Ivy Square Shopping Center where Foods of All Nations is located. You have some fantastic merchants in there, including one of my favorites, Lou Stevens, who owns the tennis shop in University Shopping Center. You have a Papa John's in there, if you may. You have a Latin restaurant and grocery in the University Shopping Center. Maybe you can find some of the other merchants, if you could, Judah, in the University Shopping Center. A handful of owners owned this shopping center, and one owner has been unable to truly assemble or aggregate dominant ownership of the University Shopping Center. These are commercial condos. Hunter Craig, for example, owns in the University Shopping Center. Currently, there are 4 storefronts that are for rent. We'll give you that nitty-gritty today on the I Love CVille Show. I want to talk Virginia Credit Union merging with a Roanoke Credit Union and what that could mean for employees of Virginia Credit Union. We'll take a look at this Virginia Tech at Virginia men's basketball game. Judah, if you can trim that headline down because the U from ESPNU is being cut off, and you could just make it Va Tech, capital A, instead of Virginia on the first one, to trim that headline down. And on the second headline, you can change Reid's owner, neighborhood demo changing, and strike has in the past tense of changed, and just make it changing, and then the headlines will be easy breezy, looking very, very good. Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. Gwendolyn Gale Cassidy says snow days should be a part of child development and growth. I'll get to the rest of her comment in a matter of moments. Once those headlines are changed, Jude, I'd like to get you on screen because, my friend, you are roughly $60 wealthier by following your instinct and your gut and not taking the bet that you were considering about the cancellation of school in Albemarle County. Rugrats through high schoolers are in the confines of their homes right now, most likely on screens, which is the irony of why virtual learning is not utilized on snow days.
I don't know.
You think kids with the same veracity and the same intensity and the same momentum are enjoying the outside snow and sledding as, say, you and I did in yesteryear?
Possibly not with the same intensity, but I'm sure they're out there. I heard some of them out there this morning while I was getting ready for work, and one of my neighbors was out shoveling snow with his young daughter. She seemed to be having fun, enjoying the snow. Now, I don't know that she'll stay out all day long. I don't know if they'll go someplace to find a good sledding spot, but I think there are probably some people that are probably going out and having some fun with their kids.
Yeah, well, I think they are going out and having fun with their kids, but I think the kids are not going to be spending nearly as much time as, say, you and I did growing up outside, snowing, snowball fights, sledding, just getting into tomfoolery and mischief. I think they're now on screen on a couch. I mean, if they're honest with themselves right now, and they're looking around their house, because probably you have kids at home right now, which means you're taking time off from work and you're looking around your house right now. How many parents watching and listening to this talk show are looking over their shoulder and seeing their sons or their daughters on an iPad or a computer or an iPhone or some kind of screen right now, instead of doing anything physical or educationally productive? I would bet you 90% plus of the viewers and listeners that are parents watching this program right now are looking over their shoulder at their house while they're watching this program. The irony is they're watching this program on a screen and seeing their kids rotting their brain in some kind of YouTube black hole. And
that's fair.
It's the pollution of the rising generation.
But we weren't staying outside all day.
Oh, I was outside the entire time.
The entire day?
Entire day. We would be hopping from friend house to friend house. We'd warm up with some hot cocoa. We'd warm up with maybe lunch or some tomato soup and then go back out. There was no screen time. There was no inside time. It was stay out, come home at dinner. Literally what it was. And I asked the question, we use this, and it's just for the sake of a talk show. I'm very well aware that online learning was a piss poor outcome for so many students. If you had a elementary student, middle school student, high school student during the pandemic, you most likely watch your elementary, middle school, high school student suffer mightily, socially, educationally, athletically, through this online learning ecosystem that we created as a Band-Aid to get us through COVID.
Yeah.
But why was it just disregarded? It was hundreds of thousands, if not early few millions, put into it with school systems in Central Virginia. And as soon as the COVID fear wore off, and as soon as, frankly, political elections, presidency, elections for president got behind us, the green light was get back in the classroom, which is what we all wanted. I was on this talk show from the beginning saying, get the kids in school, get back to work, from the beginning. Mm-hmm. We now know that it was exploited for political purposes in certain aspects. Can't argue against that. But why was that infrastructure just completely disregarded? Do we understand, viewers and listeners of this talk show, that probably the future of education is online in some capacity?
I'm actually very surprised that nobody has come up with a better solution. I mean, considering some of the apps that are out there, Duolingo, which is, great at teaching people new languages. I can't believe that
Rosetta Stone, Coursera.
Rosetta Stone's been around for decades. So yeah, I find it incredible, or not very credible, that somebody hasn't come up with a better solution to online learning. And I get that there's a difference between setting your kid in front of an app that's specifically made to cater to whatever it is, whatever particular. You would have to account for different schools, different paces, different what do you call it? A teacher's study plan. But at the same time, it seems like we could have done more, or somebody would have come up with something besides just putting people in, giant Zoom meetings with other classmates and teachers.
Well, it was because of the quick turnaround.
No,
but that quick turnaround, you're saying, should have evolved and continued evolving. I heard from one gym teacher that his gym class was encouraging his middle school students to stand in front of the computer screen on Zoom, to take a tennis ball in their left hand and to throw it in the air while sitting in front of the screen and catch it in their right hand. And that was a good percentage of PE in certain schools. They will remain nameless. Heard it from the horse's mouth, the PE teacher himself. Let's get Ginny Hu's photo on screen. She's number 4 in the family. The I Love CVille Power Rankings available at ilovecville.com viewer rankings. ilovecville.com/viewer rankings. Ginny is number 4. She says, exactly, fellas. My youngest child would have stayed out much longer if there had been other kids outside to play with. She's good at entertaining herself, but let's face it, sledding is much more fun with multiple people. Mr. DL, thank you for watching the program. Sledding by yourself is akin to what?
I mean, I'm not saying, there are kids that are loners. There are kids that just don't have the opportunity, and there's nothing wrong with sledding by yourself. But yeah, there's something to be said for getting out and enjoying not just the snow, but anything with a friend or a group of friends.
I want parents to truly be honest with themselves right now. And this is going to be a tough pill to swallow for parents watching this show. My wife and I included. How much time is your son or daughter truly spending outside enjoying the snow on this snow day? And I would bet if parents were truly honest with themselves, the time a child, elementary, middle, or high school, is truly enjoying by themselves on a snow day is an hour or less.
I feel like Virginia is a tough place for this type of thing because we're kind of in this. There are some years when we get 2-3 feet of snow over the course of a winter.
There was enough snow now for sledding.
I'm not saying there's not, but we've had several years fairly recently where there was little, if no snow at all. And when I lived in Maine, I mean, it was almost a given that pretty much everybody that had kids on the street, they had sleds, they had what do you call it? Pull on, like skiing outfits, heavy gloves, heavy boots. Oftentimes, I remember one of my friends when I first moved to Maine. They had multiple sets of cross country skis. So we just go, snow, and we just go cruising around. We'd head to the train tracks and just go riding up the tracks. Be gone for the day, like you said. But how many people around Charlottesville do you think have cross-country skis that are ready to go when we have...
The first thing I think of when snow days is not cross-country skiing in Charlottesville.
Of course not, because
there's no place to cross-country ski.
There are plenty of places.
Where would you cross-country ski in Charlottesville?
You could go to parks. You could go to...
So you're saying cross-country ski in Dardental on the soccer fields?
Sure,
all right,
why not?
I'll give you that. Kevin Higgins says, put an iPad in the snowman's hand, and the kids will be out there all day long. They would be out there all day long until the iPad succumbs to the water, the melted snow. Just something to consider, and this leads us to our second topic. And Kevin Higgins, I appreciate your comment. Let's get that man's photo on screen. Kevin Higgins, a key member of the family. Kevin Higgins is ranked number 7 in the power poll. I mentioned this live on air. There's Kevin Higgins. Appreciate your comment. This leads me to the next topic. Why is there not more kid-focused businesses and or a club? Look, you have Common House that is focused on children or focused on adults. ACAC has a kids component, but the kids component of ACAC, the daycare, is a way to drive adult membership.
Yeah.
What is the kids club, and could it work in the Charlottesville-Albemarle area, considering the wealth, considering the economic success and prosperity that's in this area? A kids-focused drop-off club of some kind.
I mean, would that be for wealthier people?
You could offer scholarships. I was watching the news, a rock climbing business coming to Old Ivy Road, a few doors down from the Ivy Inn, and the owner who's bringing this business to market said, yes, it's going to be a pay-to-play, this rock climbing business on Old Ivy Road, but scholarships will be offered from a membership standpoint. Scholarships could be offered.
Yeah.
Is the Boys and Girls Club the option? And why has someone not considered the for-profit version of the Boys and Girls Club and one of the many vacant storefronts in this community? We understand that the future potentially of storefronts, of Class C retail perhaps, is not selling widgets on shelves. The future of storefronts, especially in the Class C centers, is probably omni-experiential. That's why many of these shopping centers covet tenants like gyms or cycle studios or exercise studios, Pilates studios, omni-experiential tenants where they provide a service or a pay-for-play type of activity that cannot be cannibalized by the internet. Whether you want to admit this or not, and I understand there's Peloton, and there's plenty of apps out there that'll allow you to exercise in the comfort of your home in front of a mirror, having somebody else in the room with you or dozens of other people in the studio with you, motivating you, driving you to be a best version of yourself exercise-wise, still has a lot of value. And it creates trickle-over impact for the other tenants in the shopping center. Why is there not a pay-for-play Boys and Girls Club version in Charlottesville and Albemarle County? In that center, you could have a number of activities that is not tied to inclement weather. It's inside. I understand Bounce and Play has done it. Bounce, Play, and Create's had 3 owners that I know of. The former in-house counsel of Segura Solar is now the owner, he and his wife, of Bounce, Play, and Create. Steve Belcher, Steve and Monique of The Happy Cook previously owned Bounce, Play, and Create.
Yeah.
They sold it to the in-house counsel of the former in-house counsel of Segura.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, what could a private version, a membership-based version of Common House for 5 to 18-year-olds work in this community?
Yeah. I mean, we were not too long ago talking about Starbase Alpha and Planet Fun. My sister, when she brings my niece to town, loves to go to the Virginia Discovery Museum, especially now that my niece is getting old enough to actually appreciate it. But yeah, something along those lines would probably be great. I question I question how easy it would be to. You'd certainly have to be careful about safety, and especially if you have parents dropping off their kids. I mean, is that something that you would do? Would you drop off a kid somewhere like that?
I mean, it depends on if it's my first kid, my second kid, my third kid, or my fourth kid. Ask any parent watching the program. You become more open-minded to sanity when it's your second, third, and fourth kid as opposed to your first. You become less of a helicopter parent. Yeah. We have a viewer and listener that's DM me directly that's looking for a little bit of anonymity. Says, Jerry, I want to keep this offline because it involves my kids, but I agree with both points. We should leverage the tech infrastructure implemented in 2020 for remote learning during weather events. He also says, a reasonable amount of old school snow days are good for kids' development, so as long as they are active. Today I'm working in my home office that was drastically improved due to COVID, while my two boys just shoveled 2 driveways and then played nonstop with the dog in the snow from 7:45 to 12:45 until it was time for lunch break. Made my heart smile to see that while I worked. Screen time all day would not have been beneficial or healthy unless it was schoolwork. Let's go to Jennifer, who's watching on one of our 15 Facebook pages. She goes, Jerry, you're exactly right. Our 3 kids, they went outside. They said it was cold. They threw a couple of snowballs. Their gloves got wet. Then they came inside and they got on their screens. James Watson, watching the program, he is not a fan of virtual learning at all. He says it's impossible to do on snow days. They are too infrequent. Kids want to go outside, and if you're lucky to be a teleworker like me, you'll get 0 work done. James Watson, let's get his photo on screen. The number 5 ranked member in this family. He also says remote school would be disastrous for the occasional snow days. Last year, we didn't even get a snowflake. Remote school is a debacle for kids under 10. I think it depends on the kid. I play sports with the parents of a 10-year-old who is learning remotely, and they move from the West. I won't say where. They watch this program. I want to protect their privacy as well. This couple that I play sports with moved from a Colorado city to Charlottesville, and their offspring is still able to do digital or remote work through the school system he was a part of. He's 10 years old. He's 2 grades ahead of where he should be academically wise. The remote and online learning is not ideal, and it does not apply to every kid. It depends on the makeup of the kid.
Yeah,
we have to understand this, whether we want to admit this or not. The online hybrid digital learning component is not something that is going to lose steam. As technology becomes more robust and ubiquitous, it's going to gain momentum.
Yeah.
Just like we've seen our kids become screen addicts on YouTube, on Disney, on Netflix, on Prime, on any of the games they're playing, that is what's going to happen with education, whether we want to admit this or not. Here's another example. I learned this from, you talk to real estate agents. Mazi Vogler watching the program right now. Mazi can contest to this. For the folks that are getting their real estate license, if many of the realtors in this area, or many folks in this area have real estate license. I think there's 1,100, 1,200 realtors and cars, something along those lines, and commercial brokers that have their license as well.
Yeah.
The learning component of getting a real estate license
is online.
It's online. It's all online. 60 hours of online learning, and then you take an in-person proctored exam. Now, there's an educational component of doing it in a classroom, but I would bet you an incredibly overwhelming large majority are saying the online component over the learning in the classroom because of the flexibility offered.
No doubt.
The parents that I were talking about where their 10-year-old is multiple grades ahead of where they should be, this child is a standout in a number of other, standout in school, and a standout in a number of other hobbies and interests in sports because this child has more free time and flexibility because they're not necessarily in a classroom full time. There's a reason why
They're also not waiting however long for a bus, then going to pick up other kids. They're not spending all that time in transit either.
Mozzie Vogler said, yep, I did all that online learning for my real estate license during the pandemic. She said, my middle school daughter has been sliding with her friends earlier today. My oldest is meeting some friends shortly to go sledding. It's our first snow after all. I'm very happy to hear that. Gwendolyn awesome. Gail Cassidy said, we were going to do a private club for kids on the downtown mall near the Paramount. The numbers did not make sense even at $20 a night with sibling discounts.
Huh.
A privatized version of the Boys and Girls Club. And this wealthy ecosystem we call Charlottesville, Albemarle County in Central Virginia. Bill McChesney watching the program. He says, remind folks to clear the area around their mailboxes and any fire hydrants that are near their property. He says, my vehicles are cleaned off and my driveway steps and sidewalk are cleared. I shoveled the driveway last night, woke up to a driveway that was ready to rock and roll this morning. You show a little bit of that asphalt and it's fun. It's impressive of how the snow melts quickly.
Oh, yeah.
You keep that driveway covered with snow, and it turns to ice, and you're going to be breaking your back shoveling that driveway.
Yeah.
You tune into the weather forecasters. John Blair, I'll get to you in a matter of moments, and they say we're looking at single-digit temperatures for the next 24 to 48 hours.
Ugh.
Did you see it? Well, you brought that to my attention.
I heard there was going to be single-digit temperatures tonight. I didn't know.
And Thursday with some snow on Friday.
Whew.
CVille Matters says ACAC's Kids Day off when schools close due to the weather, spring break, winter break is open to members as well as non-members alike. Thank you for sharing that.
Nice.
There's capacity issues there, though. Ginny Who says, are the owners of the kids' common house going to be allowed to enforce behavior and rules? In my experience, as soon as that happens, the haters come out and either rules go out the window or the opportunities shut down. It's unfortunate that's the case.
Yeah.
But in some cases, that is, in fact, reality. Thank you for sharing that, CVille Matters and Ginny Who. CVille Matters, you have one follower on Twitter. Anywho, some of the things that got us thinking. My number one thing is just getting the kids off the screens.
Yeah.
The kids off the screens for non-educational purposes. What we're going to start doing, my wife and I, is we've put a time limit on screens, and when screens are used, it's going to be for educational. There's another family I know, a Hungarian family, husband and wife, that have 2 boys. They limit screen time to 30 minutes a day, and the 30 minutes a day is the kids watching Hungarian content, literally learning the language.
I mean, that's great. It makes me think of when we were kids, and of course we had television, but it was, there wasn't necessarily something interesting to watch on TV all day long, unless you liked soap operas. But it's the same thing. If would you have let your kid watch TV all day long?
Steve Jobs, Gwendolyn Gail Cassidy said, limited it to 15 minutes a day. There's a reason why the C-suite executives and many of the social media apps do not allow their kids to utilize the app. I've seen it firsthand with our oldest, the rotting of the brain, an actual addiction at 5 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Screen time. You can be go studio camera if you could, so people could see where we're sitting, how close we are. How far would you say we are? 3 feet?
No,
4 feet?
We're 5 or 6 feet.
5 or 6 feet? Okay. 5 or 6 feet apart?
You could lie down between you
No
and
way.
Me. Yeah.
You're waving? Okay.
Because they can't see me.
Okay.
But yeah.
Call it 5 feet. I can be 5 feet away from our oldest while he's out down the YouTube rabbit hole of content. I tried this literally on Sunday. One of our oldest, his favorite candy is Skittles. Mm-hmm. He loves to taste the rainbow of flavors that comes in a pack of Skittles. He likes the red pack over the berry pack best. Okay. And I he is in the YouTube rabbit hole, and I'm screaming, "Hey, do you want some Skittles? You can have as many Skittles as you want. I have all the grapes and all the cherries, your personal favorites. Hey, son, you want some Skittles? Come get some Skittles with me. You can stay up late. You can have Skittles and stay up late and not go to bed." And he does not
completely.
It doesn't break his attention of what he's doing.
Disengaged.
Yeah. That's drugs.
Yeah.
That's addiction.
Yeah.
And it's not just him.
No. Were we talking about this before? I think there's some cartoon or kids show called, it's like Coco
Oh, is it Coco Melon?
Melon. I think that's what it is.
My wife is probably going to text me about this.
And my niece is starting to get, she's almost 3, and she's starting to get addicted to she'll take someone's phone. She'll take my mom's phone or my dad's phone. Next thing you know, she's like scrolling through apps.
It's the dopamine hit.
And then somehow
the dopamine hit that you see with children.
She can't even spell, but she can still find Cocomelon on YouTube.
Well, the algorithm is positioning the content in front of her based on the length of the content she's watching. The longer you stay sticky on one piece of content, the more the algorithm knows other content to put in front of you. Mozzie Vogler says, "My kids are 14 and 13, and I have limited screen time of 3 hours a day, and at 10 p.m. their phones are shut off. Somehow I still get away with this. It's hard on teenagers." Gwendolyn says, "The World Health Organization recently advised parents to limit screen time to just 1 hour a day for children under 5. Though one large study found little correlation between screen time and mental health impacts, other research has found that an 8th grader's risk for depression jumps 27% when he or she frequently uses social media."
Yeah, no doubt.
100%. Has anyone ever gotten on Instagram? Get on Instagram. Everyone's been on Instagram. Go to the search function.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
And it pops up all the stuff that it wants you to look at.
It pops up all the stuff you want you to look at. And the folks that you see on the search function of Instagram, whether men, whether women, are the most beautiful people in the entire world. If you're an impressionable preteen or teen that is on Instagram constantly, hitting the magnifying glass for search, and the only content you see is of beautiful women, if you're a preteen female, or if you're a preteen guy, you're seeing what you think a male is supposed to look like, that's going to have psychological impacts on you.
Yeah.
Unhealthy psychological impacts.
No doubt.
And we all start this program on a day where the schools are closed. You're $60 wealthier by not taking that bet yesterday. You were a smart man. Yep. You were very close to taking that bet yesterday.
Not really.
You said I would consider doing that on yesterday's show.
Consider
we have
it,
the film.
But, I know I said I'd consider it.
We have the tape.
But I don't think there was any way it doesn't, it's besides the point.
You didn't take it. You trusted your instinct.
Yeah.
Well done. You trusted your instinct. All the schools are closed. Screen time has become a babysitter. And I asked the question about a private club for children, and I wonder how much actual time parents are seeing their kids spend outside sledding and enjoying the show. I would bet it's less than we think. And whether we want to admit it or not, the online learning of education, the digital learning of education, and it's unfortunate, but it's a reality, will head in that direction. And how it's going to start is it's going to start from a professional standpoint. I mentioned the 60 hours of learning for a real estate license. You can do it online while in your underwear, and then it's going to trickle to college, and from college it's going to trickle down into high school, middle, and elementary.
I mean, some colleges are already doing it.
It makes sense. Think about how a lot of people don't realize this. You can confirm this for me. Liberty University in Lynchburg. Please confirm this for me. I believe Liberty University has one of the top 5 largest student bodies in America. You're talking Jerry Falwell's college, Liberty University, and little old Lynchburg. From a total student body standpoint, I think is top 5 nationally, and it has a very good chance of being number 2. I think what's the Phoenix school? The University of Phoenix?
Is it
University of Phoenix, I think, is number 1. I think Liberty University is number 2 for largest student body or enrolled students. You could find that digitally. Let me know when you have that number, and then I'll go to the next topic, and I'll weave you back in, J-Dubs. Judah Wickara, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We'll go to Henrico, Holly Foster. You already have that information.
The total enrollment at University of Phoenix in 2021, both undergraduate and graduate, was 85,836
Okay.
students. Liberty University total enrollment in 2016 was 110,000.
Okay, so Liberty even more. Where does Liberty, I said it was top 5 nationally, most enrolled students, undergrad and graduate. I said top 5 nationally. I think it might be number 2.
I think they're over 135,000.
Is it number 1, Liberty University? You want to know why Liberty has so much money? It's not because of the kids walking around their campus in Lynchburg. It's because of this. This right here. Think about the money they're making. How many did you say in 2016 enrolled students?
110,000.
110,000 enrolled into Liberty.
Yeah.
Professors talking in front of a camera to 110,000 people. Think about that and how much money they're making.
All right, here's an article from January 2nd of this year.
Okay. I'm listening to learn.
Here's the summary. College campus, the largest enrollment, Texas A&M.
Okay, Texas A&M number 1. This is in person though, right? Yeah, that's totally in person, which is different than what we're talking about. Regardless, what's Texas A&M's in-person enrollment?
It's not, let's see, 74,000.
74,000 people on campus at Texas A&M. That's a lot. How about online?
Let's see.
That's a different article right there. I want to get to Holly Foster's comment. You give me a thumbs up when you get that info. Then we'll get to the commentary from Reid's owner in a matter of moments. Holly Foster, the queen of Henrico, Virginia. When I was little, I watched the evening news with my parents at dinner, and we talked about current events, and then it was bedtime. Saturday morning, I was allowed to watch cartoons, the best day of the week. Sunday night was Perry Mason with my dad. We had a television in our large country kitchen. In our den, no television in the bedrooms. Gwendolyn Gale Cassidy says it's University of Phoenix. Jerry, you're right. 320,973. The University of Phoenix. 320,973. Thank you, Gwendolyn. What's Liberty? What is Liberty University? I believe it's number 2, if memory serves correct.
Here's an article from the end of last year that's saying that, and I'm not sure.
This is right up Gwendolyn's alley here.
These numbers are different than the ones she's got. They've got Western Governors University as the highest with 150,000. Liberty comes in 4th on this list with 94,000. University of Phoenix right behind it with 85,000.
What's the source?
This is successfulstudent.org.
John Blair leaving comments on LinkedIn. Jerry, have you heard of Flowcabulary? How about ST Math? These are learning apps that are used in my son's school at Mountain View Elementary. What's interesting about this is that the kids use these apps while in person at school. By the way, for what it's worth, my son and about 10 other kids in Redfields had a big snowball fight this morning. I love the visual of your son, who's a standout wide receiver in flag football and a safety and defensive back of talented proportions. You don't cross the middle when John Blair's son is playing safety or defensive back. You don't cross the middle. I love the visual of him playing in a snowball fight in my old stopping grounds, Redfields. He also says this. Jerry, I was interested in this issue a couple years ago during the pandemic. I talked to a few local business people. They said that a big reason these businesses, kid-oriented businesses, struggle is ACAC. ACAC has the upper and upper middle class market tied up pretty well. They have a 2-hour drop-off in Kid Zone. They also have an all-day camp for summer and Christmas. Fantastic analysis right there from John Blair. YMCA offers a lot of opportunity for kids as well. The YMCA. John, I love when you watch the program. Trey Barham, watching on LinkedIn. Thank you for watching the show as well. Gwendolyn says Liberty is number 4, 108,000 plus students. and she's using collegestats.org. Philip Dow is sharing a link as well, the king of Scottsville, watching the program. I want to get to the Reid's owner, Judy Ram McMullen, watching the program. A local friend of mine is a professor at 3 different universities, including Liberty, and all of the classes are online. The college and university model is not going to be tied to bricks and buildings and dorms. The top echelon of colleges and universities, I'm talking the top 5%, the creme de la creme, and the University of Virginia is in there, so Charlottesville's economic ecosystem is safe. The best of the best will still offer in-person learning. The remaining percentage, which is by far the majority, will pivot to an online model.
Yeah.
The college business model is broken. And why it's broken is because its customers are coming out $250,000 plus in debt and will never recover from that kind of headwind or exposure or liability.
Yeah.
You cannot come out $250,000 in debt with housing costs, food costs, vehicle costs, healthcare costs being where they are now and get out of that hole.
No doubt.
And once people realize that and become privy or become socially aware, or when the social norms change and you don't need the vanity play or the ego play of the 4-year degree, and you realize that it's a trap, the model is going to be drastically changed. And that's what Helen Dragas, to her credit. Now, Helen Dragas probably could have played things differently. She's the former chairwoman of the Board of Visitors, University of Virginia.
Yeah.
She was the one that tried a secret behind-the-scenes coup to oust former President Teresa Sullivan, because Terry Sullivan would not pivot quickly to online learning like Dragas wanted. Dragas, if you look at Dragas, and I've mentioned her previously on the show, is it Dragas Companies? I think that's the name of her business. Yes, it is. Go to dragas.com, Dragas.com. Helen Dragas and her company, Dragas Companies, in Virginia Beach and Chesapeake, are a behemoth. This is a visionary businesswoman leading a very large company, a heavy hitter political donor. She sees things before they become reality. She has the skill set of vision and understands risk hedging. What she was trying to do with Coursera was way ahead of her time. Way ahead of her time. But it will be the present. Mark it down. We need to get to Gwendolyn Gale Cassidy knows this. I believe she's studying at Harvard right now. She says they're called, is it MOOCs? Massive Online Open Courses. We'll begin to cultivate as we lose teachers, especially in lower SESs. What's an SES? Is that college or university? I don't know the acronyms as well as you do, Gwendolyn. Yeah, she's studying at Harvard right now. MOOCs, Massive Online Open Courses. We'll begin to cultivate as we lose teachers, especially in lower SESs. What's an SES? And she was the rector for the BOV for UVA. Her father also started the company she inherited. That is true.
Could be socioeconomic status.
Is it socioeconomic status? Is that what it is? I think that's exactly what that acronym means. Socioeconomic status. Well done, Judah Wickower. Or is that well done, interwebs?
Little both.
Little both. Well done, Judah Wickower. Carly Wagner watching the program. She's a key member of this family. We need to get Gwendolyn a ranking. Gwendolyn needs to be a ranking. Let's put her in at 33, and I have a feeling she's climbing the polls quickly. Gwendolyn Gale Cassidy at 33. She needs to be added to the list, and she's going to climb that ranking quickly. We need to get Carly Wagner's photo on screen. She's a very important member of this family. Carly is ranked number 3 in the polls. She said, Harvard offers online. I have a local friend getting her advanced degree from Harvard virtually. Thousands of students around the world are in her program. Harvard is the best of the best. There we go. It's not spend $100,000 a year for this, the social dynamic or the social fabric of going to college, the rite of passage. Unfortunately, the rite of passage into adulthood may now be a rite of passage of social media, online dating, and digital learning. That's freaking scary. The rite of passage when let's just take a geriatric millennial. Geriatric millennials are 1980 to 1985 born. A geriatric millennial, their rite of passage was graduate high school and go to college for 4 years away from your parents and figure things out on your own.
There's the generations.
You have the generational graph on screen?
Yeah.
Look at the screen, look at the screen, look at the screen. What is the years? Put the years.
Oh, let's see. Which one are we talking about?
Let's go with the one before millennial.
Okay, Generation X. That's me.
You're Generation X. What are you?
I'm 75. This is they list Generation X as 65 to 80.
Okay, you're Generation X.
Millennials 81 to 96.
Okay, so a geriatric millennial is 81 to 86 or so. Go ahead.
Generation Z 1997 to 2012.
So a young Generation Zer, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, right? Mm-hmm. They're middle school.
Yeah.
The rite of passage for a middle-aged Gen Zer, a middle-aged Gen Zer is probably just getting to college now. What's a middle-aged Gen Zer?
You're talking about middle of the Generation Z years?
The middle of Gen Z.
Like 2005-ish.
Okay, so a middle-aged Gen Zer is 2005. The rite of passage for a middle-aged Gen Zer, someone born in 2005, this is terrifying. Their rite of passage is online dating, digital learning, and social media apps like TikTok and Instagram on their phone.
Yep.
The rite of passage for a geriatric millennial, for even a middle-aged millennial, we're talking an age gap of 20 years, was in-person learning at a college and meeting people at parties, the library, or at bars while figuring out how to learn in a classroom and socialize with folks while walking to and from class. That is a massive shift of human behavior.
Yeah.
In only 20 years.
Yep.
We were talking with Jerry Ratcliffe off air after the show of how the media landscape is changing so quickly. How about the landscape of human behavior?
Definitely.
Terrifying or exhilarating? Which side of the fence are you on?
We're seeing technology take off at faster and faster paces. And
depends on how quickly you can adapt. Are you studio camera? Gotta take this jacket off. I'm sweating profusely. Are you?
No, of course not.
Literally the odd couple over here. This man's got a quarter zip. What do you have on? A quarter zip, a button-down flannel, and long johns underneath? While wearing a scarf. A quarter zip, a button-down flannel, and long johns underneath.
It's not a flannel, but
while wearing a scarf.
I mean, it's not a long johns.
Resiliency and adaptability are key to survival. Gwendolyn Gale Cassidy, a.k.a. Darwinism. Darwinism. Carly Wagner, buying into that allure of that rite of passage is a big reason for the student debt crisis. Many prudent people are avoiding that to stay out of debt. Bingo. And that mindset is becoming more prolific. Now, I want to get to the Facebook commentary from the owner of Reid's. This went as we predicted on yesterday's program. Mm-hmm. The GoFundMe was shared on the Reid's Facebook page. And the owner of Reid's, Sue Brooks Clements, who we have nothing but respect for. You're a business owner. We champion business owners. You have staff that depend on you. I know what that's like. You're having to adapt every single day. I know what that's like. Nothing but champion and respect and props to any locally owned business. I want Reid's to survive. I want Reid's to last for 50 more years. I would want nothing else but to buy some T-bone steaks, a six-pack of Emperor of Clouds IPAs, and some pig's ears from Reid's when I'm 75 years old. I would love nothing more than that. Obviously, we all know that Reid's on Preston has some significant headwinds in front of it.
Yeah.
It's in the grocery business, which is a single-digit percentage margin business. She leaves this commentary on the Facebook page. As the owner of this small and struggling business, I believe the questions are legitimate of what's going on. First, I do want you to know that the person who started this GoFundMe, we are very grateful for them, but we did not ask her to start the GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Our community has remained behind us when they could have easily walked away, and we certainly are very appreciative. She also writes this: a few things have been changing over the last few years that finally caught up with us. The demographics of our surrounding neighborhoods has changed, and the cost of doing business has gone up significantly in all areas. We likely did not make changes soon enough. We are already trying to make changes to move forward. Changes like being more selective of our inventory, incorporating our larger value selection, and restructuring our store hours to better control expenses. The Charlottesville community has been clear that they want us here. We will continue to look at every aspect of our business in an effort to ensure we are here in the future. Thank you. The GoFundMe has raised, it has a goal of $10,000 up until the point of 1:24 p.m. on Tuesday afternoon. It's raised $7,059 of a $10,000 goal with 88 donations. I specifically said on yesterday's show that the surrounding neighborhood around Reid's, which is 10th and Page, Rose Hill, Star Hill, Fifeville, is completely different than what those neighborhoods were even 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And the new inhabitants or homeowners in 10th and Page, Fifeville, Star Hill, Rose Hill are much deeper pocketed now.
Yeah.
In many cases, don't even have longevity or tenure in the area.
And they're probably not driving the car to Reid's. They're probably going to Wegmans or one of the other places.
Deeper pocketed neighborhoods around the grocery store with vehicle access, where prior it was not deep-pocketed people with limited vehicle access having to walk to and from Reid's or take public transportation.
Right.
Furthermore, with the many transplants that have moved to the Charlottesville-Albemarle area, and we know, anyone watching the program, that we've had a population uptick. That population has uptick for a number of reasons, which we've covered very well on this program: hybrid work, remote work, the influence of the University of Virginia, Amazon, 11 billion Louisa, Data Science School UVA, Paul Manning Biotech Institute UVA, increased enrollment UVA, Northrop Grumman, 200, 300 million new headquarters in Waynesboro, the spies on 29 North, influx of them in this community. We have a population uptick, and as that population increases or upticks, the affinity or the loyalty or the institutional memory for stalwart brands, businesses that have been in this community for decades, that commitment to protecting and preserving and populating those businesses is just not as strong as it once was. We've seen that affect the corner, where now you go to the corner, it's chains. We've seen that affect the downtown mall. We've seen that affect every pocket of this community. And that's an unfortunate nature of living in a popular area that gets national press. We all live here for one of the basic reasons. What's the basic reason we all choose to live here? It's one very straightforward answer.
It's really nice.
Quality of life. There it is. Judah got it 100% correct. It's quality of life. You're not going to live in an area where you don't think the quality of life is decent. And the secret's out. And as the secret becomes the spoken word or the gospel, the population and the socioeconomic demographic changes. And when that changes rapidly, which it has, the commitment to loyal, the willingness to remain loyal, or the willingness to stay loyal, or to drive loyalty, or to preserve and to protect institutional brands becomes less and less and less. And we're seeing that happening. The grocery business is a brutal business. The digital world has cannibalized the need to shop in person. That's what happens. And I want nothing more than for Reid's to be there another 50 years. And I hope
Yeah, no
that
doubt.
$10,000 campaign on GoFundMe turns into $50,000. I want no one to take anything but us giving them props here. But I am worried. I am worried.
Yeah.
Randy O'Neill watching the program. Randy O'Neill is one of the key members of the family. Can we get his photo on screen, please? Randy O'Neill is ranked number 29 in the power poll. Randy O'Neill says this: the problem with every defied government department is a jobs program with no goal, interest in solving problems. Carly Wagner says, and the population increase is not in the city proper, it's the surrounding areas. City have only seen less than 6K increase in population since 1990. People are not driving downtown or to the corner grocery shop. I think Carly Wagner makes a good point, but I want to highlight this. The population may not be increasing quickly in the city, but it's shifting. Just because the population has increased, and she knows data extremely well, she says the city has only seen less than a 6,000 person increase since 1990. I would venture to say that the city's dynamics is changed, though. While it may only increase 6,000 people in the last 33 years, and I don't doubt her statistics, I don't doubt her stats at all, I would bet that the folks living in the city in 1990 and the folks living in the city in 2023 complete about face in the institutional living of this area. You're substituting the OG for the new G, the old guard for the new guard, because the OG is getting gentrified out of the city for the new guard. Look at how long a house lasts on the market that comes up for sale in the city. I mean, you hiccup and it's pending. Literally. And that's speaking from a vantage point of someone who's looking, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here with the missus, of someone who's looking to go from Keswick to potentially the city. So we can get closer to where we spend our lives, the areas we spend our lives. And as you become older parents, and it's weird to say that because our oldest is about to turn 6 and our youngest is about to be 14 months old, but as your kids become older, you find yourself doing things around their social calendar or their extracurricular activities even more. Mm-hmm. You become vicarious livers through their social and extracurricular calendars. And I think that is good parenting. I'm such a young parent, I don't know. I think that's called being a supportive parent. Absolutely, Gwendolyn Gale Cassidy. I love supporting Reid's. One of the best craft beer selections out there, Reid's. One of the best meat departments out there. Literally some of the best cuts of beef. I believe Riverside High Street gets its food from its meat from Reid's. And that's one of the best burgers out there, wouldn't you say, J-Dubs?
Oh, definitely.
This is from someone who's asking for anonymity. It is not Deep Throat. It is not Deep Throat. This is from someone asking for anonymity. I want to remain undercover for this, Jerry. College costs, simply round numbers showing difference for one generation. My parents sent 2 kids to 4 years of state public school for total room and board included $85,000, me being one of them. I have 2 that will enter college at the same age for me as my parents were. If tuition and total costs average 6% inflation from now until my 2 attend the same state public schools, their 2 degrees will cost us $470,000. Where his parents sent 2 kids to 4 years of state school each for $85K. $85K versus $470,000.
Yeah.
I am blessed and fortunate to be on track to fund that, but one generation goes to school for $85,000 and the other generation goes to school for $400,000 plus.
Yeah. crazy.
Elite schools will always fill their spaces, but third level and lower level schools will have to adapt 1,000%. And that adaptation is going to be online learning. And the virtual, and this is what it's going to be. It's going to be the celebrity status of professors. A professor that is it's like you see with Peloton. The Peloton app where you can work out at home. Peloton has star instructors. And those star instructors command a larger base of workout exercise people. And they're compensated more by Peloton. You're going to have superstar professors that are essentially going to be free agents, like a LeBron James going from the Miami Heat or the Cleveland Cavaliers to the Los Angeles Lakers. And these superstar professors are going to be able to basically say, if you hire me and you pay me this amount of money, Liberty, or if you hire me and you pay me this amount of money, VCU, or if you hire me and pay me this amount of money, George Mason, I'm going to bring a customer base or a paying student base of 250,000 students with me. And it's going to be less about the institution and more about the brand profile and recognition of the celebrity professor. It's going to be the influencer nature of college professorship. You're going to have the X's and O's and the foundation of knowledge as much as the sex appeal and the likability, the approachability of being a professor. Because if you're just sitting in front of a camera and you're boring, no one's going to watch you and no one's going to enroll. You need to be Bill Nye the Science Guy. Unless, should I throw shade at one of my teachers growing up? Mr. Myers. Mr. Myers. I'll leave it at that. Mark it down. Mr. Myers. All right, close the show down with a couple of important tidbits that I thought. Virginia Credit Union is merging with a Roanoke-based credit union. This is from Richmond BizSense. Virginia Credit Union announced its plans to merge with Roanoke-based Member One Federal Credit Union. The deal, which is subject to certain approvals and could close later this year, would create the third largest credit union in Virginia with $6.8 billion in assets and nearly 500,000 members, 37 branches, and 1,100 employees. Virginia Credit Union is the larger of the two with $5.2 billion in assets, 320,000 members, and 22 branches. Member One, $1.6 billion in assets and 150,000 members. The credit unions said the merger would create one of the 50 largest credit unions in the United States of America. Both credit unions say they do not have plans to close any branches or lay off any employees from either side. That's news right there. Virginia Credit Union merging with a Roanoke Credit Union. Last item out of the notebook. Two other items out of the notebook. Judah wanted to highlight this. The exposed power line nature of Dominion around here.
Yeah.
Get the damn lines underground. Good God. You're a monopoly in the Commonwealth and you print more money than just about any business in Virginia. Get the power lines underground.
Yeah, we were lucky. The snow wasn't that bad. I don't think a whole lot of people lost power, but it's only a matter of time before we get another big snow.
A couple years ago.
We've seen it before.
A couple years ago, much of the community was out for a week.
Yeah.
My family and I, thank goodness our youngest wasn't born then.
Let's not wait until that happens again.
Let's not wait until that happens again. We were living off gas fireplace and a gas stove. Boiling water on the gas stove and taking that boiling water in huge pots and putting it in the bathtub so we could bathe our kid and scrub our corsets and our top hats clean. No corsets and top hats, but I wanted to create a little imagery. Final topic of the show, UVA is in a must-win basketball game tomorrow night. Virginia Tech hits the John Paul Jones Arena. Tip-off is 7 p.m. at ESPNU. John Paul Jones Arena. UVA is 2-3 in conference play. They cannot win on the road. Their resume is pitiful right now. And whether we want to admit this or not, they are on the outside looking in. They are not on the bubble. They're just not even on the invite list. They are wallflowers. They're not even at the party. They're driving to the party. They're not close to the big dance, nor are they close to an invitation for the NCAA tournament. That hurts this community economically. It hurts the food and beverage business, the bars and restaurants that rely on fans to support this team during the first quarter of the year when pickings are slim when it comes to customers. Must-win game tomorrow night, Virginia Tech, UVA, 7 o'clock, ESPNU. Judah Wickower, any closing thoughts for your fans?
Stay warm out there, and if you get a chance and you've got kids, go out and be a kid with them for a little while.
I like that. That was good. Go sledding.
Yeah.
Clark Griswold. Lube up
maybe not that
a
kind
metal
of sledding.
saucer. What was he on? What sled was he on? Clark.
Yeah, it was one of those.
Was it a metal saucer? It was like a flat hubcap.
Yeah, it was a little cup.
That's not a cup.
Okay, a bowl.
Was it a bowl?
Well, it wasn't perfectly flat.
More like a charcuterie board.
What? What kind of charcuterie boards are you seeing?
What kind of cups and bowls do you see with Clark riding that thing through the woods? More charcuterie board than cup or bowl.
No, he had a...
The cup or bowl would cause friction on the snow downhill. It would create like a wall that would block and slow the sled. Clark was going so fast, he went through the little hut that had the hole in the ice where they went fishing.
You know, he sprayed that. He
whiffed that lube.
Yeah.
He used the lube. Wasn't that the lube he created at his business?
I bet if we found a picture, we'd see that he was using a...
like a metal saucer. But it's way more charcuterie board than bowl or cup.
I'm not sure you know what you think that means.
I know what a charcuterie board is. It's one of my favorite foods, charcuterie.
Really?
Yes. How about a question before we go? I have a 1:45 call. Spell charcuterie.
Oh, come on. You got to give me something tougher than that.
Spell charcuterie there. Hot shot.
CHARCUTERIE.
That's good. Well done. On that note, we close the program for the spelling genius, Judah Wickower.
That was an easy one.
I wouldn't have gotten charcuterie right.
I
have the spelling skill set of a 7th grader, though. You have the spelling skill set of a PhD.
An 8th grader.
No, you're a fantastic speller. I was growing up just in the era of Microsoft Word, where you didn't have to spell anything because Microsoft Word would just write the red line underneath it, and you would just have to do F7, I think, with spell check, and it corrected the word for you. The young Gen Zers coming up now, the adolescent Gen Zers coming up now, it just changes the word for you. It doesn't even put the red line underneath it. It just autocorrects.
Yeah, and some people don't even bother to check the autocorrect.
Or even worse, they write in text slang.
Yeah.
It's bananas. That's the Tuesday edition of the talk show. He's Judah. I'm Jerry. If you like the show, tell somebody about the show and spread the gospel. Write in the comments section, great show. Please. We work hard for you and we ask very little in return. So long, everybody.
Yeah, not a charcuterie board.